Hey guys, in this video, we're going to be picking, processing, and consuming dandelion roots, flowers, and leaves. So this is going to be one of my edible / useful plants videos. Now, I know dandelions are more thought of as a backyard weed and not generally thought of as something that you forage for in the wilderness, but this fits together with some of the other videos on foraging that I'm going to be doing soon. So yeah, I've been wanting to do this video for a really long time, and I feel like this is the right channel to put this video on. Now, if you see right here, this is the first one I'm picking. I just pulled this out with my hands, and the problem with this, the root broke off, which is okay if you're not going for the roots, but I'm trying to get the roots, so I kind of had to dig this root out of here. And there's more that wasn't on camera, but there you go. There's the root, not a bad sized root, right? But turns out that's not the way to go. Really, the right way to do this would be with a shovel. A shovel is kind of important if you actually care about picking the roots, which I do. We're going to be making like a tea that almost has like a coffee-like flavor in it. So we want the roots in this case. If you're just going for flowers and leaves, then you can pick them all by hand. And actually, if you just want to cut the flowers and leaves, you can cut them off at the base and let them regrow. So that's an option too. But you can see here, look how big these roots are. The roots are actually a lot bigger than you would think if you've never dug these up before. But yeah. So right there, right at that base where all the leaves come together, if you chop the leaves off right there, they can just keep regrowing back over and over and over again. So look, this is another one. This is a good example of a large root structure. This is why dandelions are so hard for people to get rid of. This is one of the reasons, it's hard to remove them and get rid of them. They just keep coming back. People think of them as a weed, and people don't want dandelions. But yeah, I think this is pretty cool because the roots are useful. Anyways, this is the pile of stuff I put them on this outdoor picnic table. These are some of the dirty roots. We have a lot more roots. I'm going to show you in another clip in just a bit, but you see here, this is actually one of the better ones that I picked. Look at this root structure. This is huge too, and it splits off into what looks like different plants, but they actually come together as one. Anyways, yeah, I got a lot of these to process here, so I'm going to be cutting up. Like, it took me a long time to get through all of this, break them apart, sort them out, and pick the good parts out and stuff. So I'm going to be cutting almost all of that out, and we're going to switch over in just a sec. All right, right here. So these are basically, like, this is after actually, these aren't even, I didn't even sort the flowers out at this point. This is still just a big pile of stuff. I have the roots separated out, at least. That was the first thing I did. So I got these are still really dirty. We're going to clean these up in just a bit. And I spent even more time separating the flowers and the leaves, which I cooked separately. You'll see that in just a little bit. We'll get to that. But next, we're going to switch over to where I cleaned up these roots. So I put these all in this pool here, in this plastic backyard pool, and I hosed them off. And I thought it took a while, but they actually came a lot cleaner than I thought they would. And I was actually pretty happy with how clean I got them. And once they dry out, you can tell how clean they are, but due to, like, I guess like the outer layer of the roots, they still kind of look dirty after washing them. So here I've got most of the dirt washed off of these, and they still look dirty, but I think it's just like the coloration and the staining and just like the texture of the skin that's on the outside of the roots that make them look dirty. They're actually a lot cleaner than you would think. And once they dry off, you can kind of tell that they're more clean. So here I'm picking them out after I spent a lot of time. I cut most of that out, but I spent a lot of time like washing it. Not that, it wasn't that bad. Actually, I think cutting these and sorting them out took longer than washing them. But here they are. I laid them out in the sun to dry for a while, and you have the option to hang these out for like many days to dry them out, or you could bake them in the oven. I think if I did this again, I'd hang them out to dry. In this case, I'm just drying them for a short time, and I'm going to bake them later. So this is the container of all the leaves, all the good leaves I was able to put together. And these were pretty dirty. They don't look too dirty when I have them all neatly packed in here, but there was a lot of dirt on these. Some of them dirtier than others, but the dirty ones were so dirty that I was actually really concerned. All the dirt came out really easily after I washed them in a strainer. And here they are after cooking them in a pressure cooker. So they basically look just like spinach, and they're kind of similar to spinach, but they're a lot more bitter. Probably some ways you can take the bitterness out of it, but ultimately the real solution with these is just adding butter. I added a ton of butter to these, and they were really, really good. Like, this was pretty delicious. These are the greens, just like spinach. You can also eat them like a salad, but really delicious with butter. Now, these are the flowers. I basically stir-fried these in a pan with butter, and they came out really good. Like, these were delicious. Just because of all the salt and butter on them, they ended up tasting like popcorn. I guess because you associate the taste of butter and salt with popcorn. But they were delicious. These were really good. I would definitely do the flowers again. I thought they were going to be not worth it, but they were worth it. Anyways, these are the roots, and I'm getting ready. I'm putting these in the oven right now. And this took way longer than I thought it would. This ended up taking, I think I left them in there for 5 or 6 hours, which is way too long. Like, that was a really long time. I'd either get a dedicated dehydrator or just hang them out and let them dry over multiple days if I were to do this again in the future. So anyways, I set this to the minimum, 170. My stove doesn't go lower than that. They recommend, I think that's the top end of how low you should set it. And you're supposed to leave the oven cracked a little bit. So you see the oven's cracked a little bit here to let some of the air and moisture get out. So here they are after baking them. And even after all that time, they're not all completely dried out. So the smaller roots like this, they just crack easily. Those are completely dried out. Those are dry. Those are perfect. And you'll see some of the thicker ones like this. See this? This just bends. It's a little bit bendy. Some ends are a little bit taut. See that's really bendy. There's still some more. It's dry enough that you can grind it, but there's still a fair amount of moisture in there. There's, in my opinion, too much moisture. One interesting thing is that, like, you can still make tea out of both of them, but both the ones that still have moisture and the dry ones, but the flavor is going to be a little bit different on them. And I actually did both of these in my first taste test. I combined both of these together. So I haven't tried them separately yet. So I ground up. So those ones on the top there are all dry, and this one is a little bendy. I'm going to grind these each separately, and they come out differently when you grind them. But then ultimately, I'm going to pour them all together in the same container to make tea out of them. So I'm not really taste testing them separately. Anyways, I'll talk about the flavor a little bit more in just a little bit. But for now, what we're doing is I'm putting them in a coffee grinder. I'm putting like the more dried out, like these. I'm putting some more of these, more than what I had on the plate. I'm putting some of the dried out roots inside a coffee grinder, grinding them up and dumping them out right here on this white plate so you can kind of see the color with that white background there. Now I'm putting these more bendy ones that still have some moisture in them. I'm going to grind them up, and the pieces are going to come out a little bit bigger. It's not going to be as finely ground, but you'll see in just a sec. So I'm grinding that there and using my modified coffee grinder. That's a whole other story of why that thing exists. But yeah, here I am. And I'm doing all this stuff indoors in a kitchen. I know this is supposed to be an outdoors wilderness survival channel. So apologies. Normally I'm doing stuff on this channel. I'm doing this all outdoors in the woods and stuff like that. This is an exception because these are dandelions, and this is just what we had to do for this video. I'm not making these in the woods, as I kind of mentioned that at the beginning of the video. It's more like a backyard weed type of thing, but I think it fits with my other stuff. Anyways, here they are in my French press, and I'm pouring some boiling water from a teapot on top of them. And they're not ground too finely, so yeah, they're coarse enough that the plunger of the French press should go down nice and easily. And we're going to see that in just a sec here. Here we go. Here's that plunger for the French press, and it goes down nice and easily. And I'm going to let it sit in there and seep for a while before actually pouring it and drinking it. And we're going to push that thing down. So I actually cut away there. I don't know if you could tell. I didn't move the tripod, but it did cut away for just a bit. But anyways, we've got it in there. Now I have this cup, and I picked a white cup so you have like the plain white background so you can kind of see the color, the contrast of the color against it. And here I am. It looks like a really light coffee. I think I could have made this stronger. It had enough flavor in it, but it wasn't the most strong thing ever. It was still pretty good. So I guess I could have used more of it in there, but you don't necessarily have to. That's really up to you. You can play around with the different flavors. Now, this is supposed to have some effects too. I'm not an expert on that. Maybe I'll talk about that in a future video, but it could have medicinal properties as well, or you could just drink it for the flavor because you like a delicious hot drink. Now, the the roots with more moisture in them give it more of a flavor reminiscent of the leaves and of the actual plant, whereas the ones with that are more dry give it more like a nutty, almost coffee-like flavor. So if you want that flavor, go with the more dried out roots. Just one thing to consider. Now these, I put the roots, I separated them. I put the completely dry ones in this bag right here. And I put the bendy, the other ones, I put the bendy ones in that other bag over there. And those ones are going to be, those are the ones that have more moisture and stuff. So I can separate them and pick which one I want to use in the future. Now, if you found this interesting, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon if you want to see more stuff like this, or other outdoor stuff like, camping, starting fires, building shelters in the wilderness, reviewing outdoor gear, doing adventures in the woods, that type of stuff. If you like outdoor stuff, definitely subscribe to this channel. We're going to do more of that. We're going to do like campfire cooking. We're going to do edible plants, how to forage for food and find food in the wilderness. We're doing lots of herbal stuff, edible plants, ways to find food, that type of stuff. Lots of outdoors, wilderness survival, bushcrafty type stuff. So if you're into that stuff, definitely make sure you're subscribed. If you've tried these yourself, leave a comment down below letting me know what you thought of them. And if you have a favorite, wild food that people forage for that you'd like me to make a video about, leave a comment down below letting me know what it is. I might listen to people's suggestions. But that's about it. So might want to give me a thumbs up. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on that next video.